So you became a GM of a foundry at 33, 30, 35 around?
Yes.
Oh, so
Either you tell me 6 weeks or 7 weeks. You was a brigadier. And they wanted each and every worker to shake hand with me.
Okay.
There were 380 workers.
That's a lot of handshakes.
If you do these 3 things, the workers will start believing the management.
What are some key innovations in the foundry industry today that you are seeing that can shape the future in the next 10 years?
The latest is,
And he is a very, very thorough person. These are the amount of notes that he's prepared for just for this podcast. So, I mean, don't miss any part of it. Go over it. Don't skip anything. Welcome back, everybody. Today is episode 7 on the Metallurgy podcast. That is the Foundry podcast that we have for our growing Foundry community. If you guys have been watching our earlier episodes, today we have one of the probably the most important guests we could have on the show. And at 87, he's one of the most respected Foundrymen in the Foundry community in India. So most of you guys already probably know him. But I think what gets omitted a lot of times is his remarkable journey that he's had along the way. And that's why I'm holding this paper, because it's really a long journey that this man has been through. So he's a fellow member of the Indian Institute for Indian Foundrymen, and they don't give that out to anybody anymore. So let us quickly get into it. My guest today is Mr. S.P. Oudhia, a familiar face in the IF.
Thank you.
Mr. Oudhia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, especially given your health. And I think you're in decent health today.
No, I am absolutely okay. See, I am a metallurgist by profession,
Right.
and qualified in foundry engineering from the reputed institute, the Indian Institute of Science.
I don't think most people know how you got your start into the career, and it is pretty. It is a pretty nice journey that you've given me. So if we were to look back to your engineering when you were about to start your career, so what were some steps that you had enrolling into a college, and how did that journey begin?
Those days, it was necessary to have an intermediate exam before admission into the college.
This is what year?
I passed out from my matriculation in 1955.
1955. Okay.
And 57, I got admitted into engineering college.
And what made you pick engineering as a topic? Why not medical?
See, it's like this, that the elders had decided that which of their sibling will go to which discipline of activity for their future life. And luckily for me, my parents had earmarked engineering for me. Based on my performance in the intermediate science, I could get admission into engineering. It was just lucky because there was an intake of 30 students every year, 15 metallurgy and 15 mining.
Okay.
And I was the 31st student.
You also mentioned regarding the mining and metallurgy, right? You said there were only 2 branches, mining and metallurgy. See, at that time.
The engineering college started at Raipur as a college of mining and metallurgy, government college of mining and metallurgy.
Okay.
The reason being, Bhilai steel plant was coming up.
Okay.
And lot of mining activities of iron ore, dolomite, limestone and the like was to take place. And so it was decided, why not have a specialized engineering college
nearby.
And they started the Government College of Mining and Metallurgy in 1957.
I'm going to stop you a little bit because there's something that you said was very nice. You had mentioned that there were only 2 branches, mining and metallurgy at that time. So you specifically chose metallurgy, you told me, because you wanted to work in towns and cities and not in forests and mining fields.
That was one of the reasons.
That was your vision at that time.
But I also would like to tell you that my mother's family were into the business of making investment casting in silver and bronze and make ornaments from the tribal population and sell it there.
So there was some sort of foundry background
So
that you had.
I used to see them making even each and every pattern was made manually
Right.
with the skill. Then all the gating system rising and complete mold inside was made and put inside, and there was no pouring. The metal in the cup will melt and go into the mold cavity, and
Okay.
wax will evaporate.
Okay.
And whatever extra metal is there will be chipped out.
Okay. So how old were you when you saw this thing going on?
This was going on till the time I passed out at 8th or 9th standard.
So you were basically in school when you saw these activities taking place. So would you say that this helped build your maybe career? Your
No, it was fascinating.
Okay.
How they create it.
Correct. So that
how magically they make each and every grain of the ornament.
Right.
It was really fascinating, and I used to go and sit with my maternal uncle for hours together.
Okay.
And just seeing and watching what they do it.
Correct.
So it was interesting, and to me, when it came to metallurgy, I said the branch appears to be very interesting, and let me venture into it.
Correct. Especially foundry was truly an art for you.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Now walk me through your first opportunity in the as a metallurgist, right? What was your first employment?
You see, after my graduation in metallurgy, I was offered a job by the government of Madhya Pradesh
Okay.
as a lecturer. Now, let me tell you that those days, not only the admission to engineering college was difficult, a student getting admission used to sign a bond with the government
Okay.
that if offered a job within 6 months of passing out, then you will have to work with the government job for at least 3 years.
Okay. So
Or else you have to pay back 3,300 rupees.
Okay. Okay.
That was a bond. And number of people who did not join did face court cases.
Correct.
At least one I know very well.
Correct. This is something I don't think anybody knows about.
See, Jabalpur Engineering College there is only one engineering college at Jabalpur at those days.
Right.
That was operated by the government of Madhya Pradesh. And I got admission in the same college where I was to be a student.
So you came back as a professor.
Yeah.
That's good.
I was a lecturer in mechanical engineering department, teaching engineering metallurgy
Right.
to the mechanical engineering students. One academic year, I asked my professor when I had come on a vacation that what do I do? I have a lot of idling time, only 10 lectures of 45 minutes each in a week.
Okay.
And 16 hours of practical.
And this some job you had to do. You could not. Right.
I want to escape from here, I told.
Right.
Then he said, the only way for you is, if you go for higher studies, then as per normal convention, not a written rule, government does not bother you with the court case and all that.
Okay.
So I applied for admission for post-graduation to IIT Kharagpur, IIT Mumbai and Indian Institute of Science.
Okay.
Incidentally, the interview for both the IITs were on the same day. I went to Kharagpur. That was on in my batch, there were 15 students and all were from different institutes.
Okay.
In the country. So we were top notchers of 15 different institutes put together for training into foundry engineering course. We all completed, and we are, as a matter of fact, in touch with each other even today.
Okay, so that was the level of bond that you all had earlier on.
And it has been a very interesting program, and professors were great.
How long was this program?
1.5 years.
1.5 years. Okay.
And after completion, I took the first assignment with the S.E.P Limited. And that's how I started.
So you started your career in Calcutta.
That's how I started into foundry engineering.
Into the foundry, absolutely into the foundry now. So now you're not teaching metallurgy, but you're actually practicing it on a daily basis now.
See, to the extent of metallurgy involved in melting, casting and processing of casting, I was always involved.
So from the way you explain things, it's very evident that you had a passion for metallurgy as a subject. You were willing to go very, very deep into the surface and actually understand.
I can only say that I enjoyed being a metallurgist.
Correct.
Being in touch with metallurgy.
Correct.
And that's one reason I was a member for a long time with the ASM International.
Okay.
India chapter. I was their vice president. I was a very active member of ASM International for about 25 years.
Okay. Okay. So that's very, very, very,
so
very technical.
Apart from foundry engineering, I remained in touch with the metallurgical engineering.
Correct.
There again, I organized and planned and executed number of technical conferences.
Even till this day, the fact that you mentioned that you're in touch with people on WhatsApp, you're in touch with people on the call, helping them solve problems, it still shows that you have passion for metallurgy even up to this day.
Subject is enjoyable. Correct. What I meant to say.
Right.
In metallurgy and foundry engineering is a great subject. It cannot be called engineering, it is a technology.
I have a question for you. Do you think you would do as well or you would enjoy your career as much if your parents had to put you into the medical basket?
I have one habit. If a task is before me, I put myself fully into it.
Okay.
And therefore I feel that if it was any other area, right, which they would have guided, I would have sincerely worked, studied and performed accordingly.
Okay. So it was largely discipline based.
See, it's like this. My father was in the British service, in the police service of the British era. Very disciplined man.
Right.
Very strict. He will take a decision after weighing all the pros and cons, and when advised, he will expect all of us to follow.
Correct.
And we did follow.
Right. So you get into S.E.P Limited now. Now you're working into a foundry. You moved very quickly from a development engineer up to your superintendent, right? What was that process like and how long was that?
It's like this. Their shift engineer had resigned and gone. So then there was already a senior man and I was junior to him. So management thought that why not try this man?
Correct.
This is how it happened.
You were how old at the time?
I had just passed out from the college, maybe 26, 27 years.
Okay, so you're well onto your career path now, even though you've just passed out. This is the actual foundry, pun intended, where your ideas would be forged, yeah, right? Where you are sort of formed into an actual foundryman, because you're taking raw experience that you've learned in education and now you're actually applying it. So you're able to add your own inputs. Correct. Right. So don't you think these years with S.E.P Limited maybe shaped your career?
I would say definitely yes, because my leaning and my attitude were fully devoted to the task given to me.
Correct. Correct.
And that's one of the major reasons why I was enjoying the job, right, wherever I worked.
Right. So you gave your heart and soul into whatever task you had at hand.
Agreed.
Right. How are some or what are some places that you used to go for knowledge at that time? Because today we have the internet, we have YouTube, we have knowledge at our disposal. But at that period, yeah, how did you learn?
I was the member of AFS, American Foundryman Society.
Right.
I used to get their monthly magazine.
Correct.
An annual transaction. And I had a collection of about 30 years of transactions,
okay,
which recently I donated to the VNIT Nagpur.
Okay, so we can find your entire library over there.
Yeah. I simply donated because I thought that I am now not in a position to use. I cannot go to the shop floor and work. And I discontinued my membership of AFS, and all my literature and my life's collection of library of technical books I donated to VNIT.
How many tons was that? Since we only measure in tons here.
That I think Mr. Himmat Bhatt will be able to tell. He transported it.
Okay. That's nice to hear. It's nice to hear that you contributed back to education.
No, I thought if it's lying with me,
Correct.
after me it will be sold as a scrap.
Right.
So during my lifetime, if I give it to somebody who can use it, and luckily for me, VNIT accepted it.
Right. So you jump now from S.E.P Limited and you come on to Himmat Foundry. What caused this shift? What were you thinking?
I tell you, very interesting. In a Diwali vacation, after second year of my working, I had come home. So over a dinner, my father told me that some foundry is coming up in between Raipur and Bhilai.
Okay.
Why don't you go and meet? So out of curiosity, I went and met in their head office at Raipur.
Okay.
And chairman was very receptive. It was a Gujarati gentleman, Mr. Kanji Bhai Rathod. And they were basically a civil engineering firm, taking a lot of civil work of dams and roads and etc. And they had gone into making from the scrap steel bars.
Okay.
So they had a rolling mill and they wanted to make this ingots in the foundry.
Correct.
That's how they got a permission to go for a arc furnace and all that.
Correct.
And they had purchased a 3-ton arc furnace and started with. But unfortunately for them, by that time so many people had come for making billets, 4-inch ingots, and therefore they had to go for foundry. They went for foundry under compulsion, and so they got me over there, and they found that he is a man who is with a foundry background. So they were very happy to receive me.
To have you. Correct.
There was no interview.
You've already in.
Only selection.
So right away you were accepted straight away. There was no interview questions, nothing. How old were you at this time?
Maybe 28, 29.
Okay, so you're still fairly young. You've got a lot of experience. So now you're at Himmat Foundry. What are some big ideas that you got, or maybe some things that you learned at this foundry during your journey there?
You see, as a foundry engineer and as a technocrat, I found that here is a foundry, we will say no to nothing.
Okay.
Come with any assignment. I'll tell you one interesting thing, that for billet heating of 10-ton billet, Bhilai Steel Plant has a crane, and they have a device which grabs it in the hot condition. That entire device frame was 3.2 tons per piece.
Okay.
And a casting was required because earlier one had failed. So my boss told me, Oudhia, ye banana hai. I said, yes sir, we will make it. So our patterns of guys, really hard working and industrious, they created a pattern very fast, and we made a 3.2 ton per casting, steel casting, from a 3-ton arc furnace. We cut the lining by lagging process
To increase the
and increase the volume to about 3.9 tons. And on a weekend, we tapped it and poured it, and we got successfully the first casting.
Amazing.
The first casting was accepted by Bhilai, and they told us that we should make another 2 casting.
Okay.
Just as a standby.
Right.
So the casting was not the issue. The issue was challenging time. Within a short time, a spare part is required, and they could manage it.
Correct.
One interesting thing that the large inspection people, one Mr. Niyogi used to come, very senior man. He asked my MD, I am not able to get a good quality rope drum for P&H Savel. Telco was making P&H Savel those days.
Okay.
I was called. I had come from a cast iron background.
Right.
The drum is cast iron, rope drum with a number of groups. So they asked me, can you make it? I said, yes, I can make it.
So you were taking on any challenge that came your way?
Yes, we can make it. In 3-ton R furnace, on a weekend, we melted 1.5 ton and made 2 castings, and both castings were sent and successfully used.
Okay.
And for that, I went to Telco, stayed in their guest house for 2 days,
Right.
and saw everything was okay.
Correct.
So the issue is like this, that such were the attitude of the management, that import substitution, anything that is required, we will do it.
So this forward attitude is something maybe that contributed to their success, right? They were willing to take
And
on
we became
anything.
a part of that whole attitude, you can
Right.
say.
Right.
So challenges were there, but we were enjoying the challenges. And I would have enjoyed continuing with the Himmat steel, and as the things would have been, I have told you earlier also, I did not find that I will have an opportunity for a further personal growth,
Correct.
because all the higher positions were manned by youngsters, maybe 4 or 5 years senior to me.
Right.
So I thought, let me venture out. That was the reason I left Himmat Steel. We had no conflict, no reason for unhappiness.
Correct. You came to Mumbai to work with CISCO,
Yeah, I
right?
came.
That is when you reached Bombay, and that is when you got your start over here and where you're staying today.
Yeah.
So how was that jump like? Come
No,
about?
they advertised in the press,
Okay.
and through their consultant, and I was interviewed and found suitable, and they recommended.
Okay.
And one Parsi gentleman, Mr. M.G. Reporter,
Okay.
well-known foundryman from the Telco, Jamshedpur, was hired, loaned to Voltas,
Right.
and was looking after this foundry.
Right.
So he recruited me, actually.
Correct.
He liked my background and he recruited me.
Okay.
But 4 years I worked under him as his junior, without much challenge and much growth, I would say.
Okay.
But after 4 years, there was some turmoil in the higher management. There was changes. Mr. Reporter left, started his own commercial venture, and I took over as a general manager works of CISCO Limited.
Okay. And how old were you at this time?
Maybe 33 or 34.
So you became a GM of a foundry at 33, 30, 35 around.
Yes.
So you had really had a tremendous start into the industry.
Yeah. There I had opportunity to interact not only with workers but with customers, with suppliers.
Correct.
That was overall activity I was looking after.
Right.
I remained total time 10 years with CISCO. We converted the foundry from 270 tons to 500 tons.
Correct.
We made all the accumulated losses,
Right. Right.
and foundry was doing well. With CISCO Limited, with the same manpower and same machinery, from 270 tons we went to 500 tons.
Okay.
All grey iron from Kipula.
Okay.
In CISCO, our customers were such that they had a faith in the quality of our product. From Kipula metal, my casting was such that it will never fail. And they used to pay me money in advance. The issue is that we established the quality and product, that our product was accepted willingly. I used to supply a lot of castings to defense. The vehicles factory at Jabalpur, I used to supply a number of components for Nissan and Shaktiman trucks.
Okay.
Made from my foundry.
Okay. So this foundry, I think, really gave you an area to explore yourself, and also to venture into other areas of the foundry that you were not familiar in, like sales, marketing.
So I used to be in direct contact with the customers, used to listen to their problem, and used to find a solution. They trusted me, and they believed that I can give the quality that they want.
Correct.
And that was the reason that the CISCO was selling casting which was at least 40% higher in rate as compared to market rate prevailing that time.
Correct. 40% higher. So they were priced at a premium.
Yeah.
Okay. And they still had a lot of buyers even though they were priced at this premium.
There was no time when there was a shortage of order.
Correct. That brings me back to this example you gave me. There was a coal mine tragedy, right? And you said KBL approached CISCO for castings and they wanted it in 5 days.
Yeah.
Correct. Walk us through that experience.
See, it's like this. Mr. Kher was a vice president and in charge of this project at KSB, knew me from my engineering college days. And when he knew that I am here, he came himself personally and told me, this is my problem, you get me the solution.
Just for people who aren't familiar with this tragedy, what year was this and what exactly was you said a coal mine had flooded, right?
See, there was a accident in the mines
Correct.
in Bihar. The mine was Chas Nala.
Okay.
And certain workers were trapped inside the flooded mine.
Okay.
And they remained trapped for a number of days, maybe about 10 or 12 days.
Right.
And flood had to be evacuated. High capacity pumps were required.
Correct.
They did not have it ready made perhaps. So this was given by KSB.
Correct.
In India. And casting part for the casing was, luckily for me,
was given in your hands.
I could make it. Everything KSB pumped it.
Okay.
He said, you give me this product in time.
In time was 5 days. Even how you mentioned about your workers, you further trusted your workmen to deliver. And the entire chain managed to come through in time.
It is like this. When I left CISCO, the workers arranged a send-off for me.
Okay.
With the permission of management. And they wanted each and every worker to shake hand with me.
Okay.
There were 380 workers.
That's a lot of handshakes.
So, it's something like that.
Right.
And that means we had a very close contact with the workers.
Right.
And I can say that was a great boon. I enjoyed the company of the workers and the company enjoyed us.
Correct. So you go from CISCO Limited now and you work at Premium Automobiles, right? How did this shift happen and what was the reason?
See, CISCO had taken a decision that they will close down and give the state for a construction or reconstruction to a builder.
Okay.
The decision was taken. I was called by the management and said that we are closing down, you look out for others.
Okay. Right.
And I left them. Then I remained as a consultant to a foundry in Ahmedabad. Every Saturday, Sunday I used to go there.
Okay.
Saturday morning I fly, Sunday night I will fly back.
Correct.
And they are paying a handsome emolument.
This was a foundry doing what castings?
They are making grey iron castings only.
Okay. Right.
But it lasted for 3 months. Within that 3 months, Premier picked me up. Outgoing plant manager was going to retire after a few months.
So you were basically called on, I would say, to learn the ropes while he was still on the job. Okay, got it. So you were smart enough to understand that.
Then I became a plant manager, remained plant manager for 8 years.
Okay.
And after 8 years, I was taken to the Department of Engineering in main plant, looking after the metallurgy as well as the development of foundry. The whole idea was that this foundry should close down and we put up a new ultra-modern foundry for automotive castings.
Okay, what year was this?
It was 96, 95 or 96.
So when they talk about ultra-modern, which brings us to our next leg of the interview, what sort of modernization were they talking about and where were they coming from and what they were aiming at?
See, with my managing director, I had gone to Germany and Switzerland, and we had decided plant machinery and equipment. We wanted to go for George Fisher's impact molding line and a very compact working area and cold box and all that. Those were not there except in Telco those days. Telco was having all these, but we did not have. Nobody else had. So that type of technology we wanted to go, and because company had a plan to have a substantial growth, and we were to supposed to take 80-85% of the casting capacity in house.
Okay.
And only 10 to 15% was available for others.
Yep.
So I was in charge of the so-called foundry project.
Okay.
I made complete project report, presented to the top management, got it approved. Then we went to Germany, had a negotiation. The Germans had come here for further dialogue. Everything was more or less decided. But what happened in between? That Premier had two new development. Number one, we signed with Peugeot France for making Peugeot 309 car in India. We also signed with Fiat for Uno.
I've seen those Uno. They look like the Maruti 800.
Yeah.
Right.
So because of these two, the foundry project was kept on hold.
Okay. Okay.
And whole focus was on Peugeot and Uno, or rather I would say whole focus was on Uno.
Correct.
Unfortunately, because of the labor issues, it did not click. Otherwise, Uno would have been
taken the market.
Very good
Correct.
market.
So what was this foundry producing at Premium Automobiles? What were your main castings that you were producing?
Engine blocks.
Okay.
Basically, for our own consumption, whether for Fiat, whether for Uno, whether for Peugeot, we were supposed to make in all the castings required.
In-house. So that means that today if we see a Fiat on the road, maybe they are black and yellow cabs even today, those engine blocks would be made by you.
Oh, sure.
So that's really good, because Mumbai, until recently, I think 3 years ago, still had black and yellow cabs.
It is. I believe it is being phased out, or it
has
been
been phased out 2-3 years ago. But until 2021, they were still pretty much in operation around Colaba and Churchgate, and
all the petrol blocks and diesel blocks were made by us.
Amazing. So it's really nice to see your contribution, taking effect 25-30 years after you've been a part of it.
See, I won't say contribution. It was you enjoy your job and you get pleasure in that.
Right.
That pleasure was something great.
Correct.
That pleasure was one which brought all our people together, our workers, our officers, our technical staff, moved together. See, an engineer can only give an idea, concept and notions.
Right.
But the actual work is to be done by the frontline operatives. And the transfer of information correctly is for the middle management. And this happened very beautifully. The result was that there was a fantastic improvement at Vadala Foundry. The foundry, which was not able to produce even 270-280 tons, started producing 450-500 tons.
Okay.
The manpower dropped from 850 when I joined to 650, not by any retrenchment, by normal wastages, resignation, etc. And we did not recruit. What we did is that those equipment which had outlived their life, we retired them, equipment.
Okay.
And those jobs which were going on those equipment, we remodeled our activity so that we can accommodate only on 2 pairs of molding machine instead of 4 pairs.
Okay. So there was a lot of brains going into the technology and...
So remodeling, new gating system, new techniques, and that helped them fantastic. Every day in the morning I used to take a round, new pattern coming up are being made in house. I will go to the pattern shop discuss with the people, how do you do it? Everybody will put his idea.
Okay.
And I will just record it. And when it comes to a final, we'll sit, 2-3 people will sit together and decide that this is the way to do. And I would say that 90% of the cases, we did not need the second trial.
See, that comes across as you being an expert manager. You're a manager in that you get the input from all your subordinates.
You cannot work without getting all the input from the subordinates.
Correct.
They have spent longer time.
Correct.
They have more understanding of the things.
Right.
I must learn from them.
Right.
And then only I can implement it.
Right.
That was my approach, and it worked beautifully. The actual job is done by the workforce.
Right.
Instead of getting a pat at the back, the appreciation is given to the manager.
Very true.
This is something which must change. The first pat should go to the frontline worker.
Correct.
He is the man who has created.
Correct.
Okay, you give an idea, concept, everything, fine. Who created it? He created it.
Correct. Right. So let's move on to the industry today, because you are also guiding people currently. You had modernized the foundry earlier. So what are some technologies that you're seeing that is relevant today and that has changed and were maybe not available in the past?
During the days when I joined the foundry, was like this. All plant and machinery were coming from abroad.
Okay. So equipment.
All pattern equipment was coming from abroad. All the system of gating system was coming from abroad. And the classic case is that in Premier Automobiles, when I joined, we used to make one gear carrier for the passenger car. By Italian system, it was going on, and it used to take so many man-hours and so many this. So I asked my methods man that can we change this like this? By making a change and converting the core from oil sand to this shell core, I can reduce the core setting time and core making time, and increase the production to 4 cavities in a mold rather than 1 cavity.
Okay. Impressive.
4 times.
Correct.
In the molding. And we created that casting which reduced in weight by 1.2 kilograms. Machining allowance critically designed, and pressure test nothing failed.
Okay.
And production was so much that there was never a shortage of the item on the production line.
Amazing.
Otherwise, the quality control chief, Mr. Brigadier Chiblani, had told him, Mr. Oudhia, how many days you want me to accept this substandard quality? When will you give me the right quality? He said, sir, it will take me 6 or 7 weeks. And I said, no, either you tell me 6 weeks or 7 weeks. He was a brigadier.
6 weeks or 7
and we made it. So it's like this. So when your people on the top are demanding,
correct,
you have no escape but to act.
Correct. So that is good. I mean, the management directs, and then the team follows, and then the team should get recognition for it, as you mentioned.
Right.
Correct. So you covered what changes are taking place. What factors have contributed to India being number 2 now in the world? What do you think? Because this change happened in the last 20-30 years, right about the time.
You see, calling it number 2, what is the gap between number 1 and number 2? You'll see that.
Pretty large.
We became number 2 because the foundry activities in United States came down.
Okay.
They were number 2, but the people over there decided to buy it from the developing countries.
Okay.
First they were going to China, now they are coming to India because in India they like the system, they have no language problem, so understanding is better.
Correct.
And that's why you became number 2. But if you count on volumes that you are supplying, what is the volume of engineering costing and what is the volume of municipal casting, you will find municipal casting far exceeds the engineering casting.
Okay, so basically internal demand is what is driving the industry, you're saying.
So we have started supplying low quality, high volume castings.
Okay.
Now we are transforming ourselves into engineering casting. There are foundries who have put up ultra modern machine shops.
Okay. Can you name 3 of them? Can you name 3 ultra modern foundries in India that
You see,
just comes to you?
the foundry which is in the market and supplying, one is the Birla's foundry, I am forgetting the name, at Pune.
Okay.
One is Mahindra's foundry at Mahindra CIE. These two I have seen their machine shop also.
Okay.
The third foundry, which is of a very small scale, is Nissan Castings. These guys have gone and seen it.
Okay.
That foundry was conceived and set up by me as a forward integration.
Where is this?
Nissan Castings are at Nagpur.
Okay.
Right now they produce 750-800 tons of castings, all tractor castings, and they supply to Mahindras and Eicher tractor. And they don't supply casting; they supply fully machined component.
So these 3 foundries you would say are
At least these I have seen and I know them.
Okay, correct.
There may be many more.
So that's, yeah, I mean 3 that you experienced personally, right? So if a small SME or an MSME foundry today wants to get into maybe those 3 that you mentioned, what are some steps that they need to start taking in order to maybe upgrade themselves?
The first thing they have to do, first and foremost, is they should accept that they need improvement
Correct.
in technology, in techniques, and in working environment. But the biggest thing they have to do is that change the concept. Workers must own the foundry. That means they should have a feeling that this foundry is mine.
Right.
If a piece of aluminium has dropped on the metal floor, worker will not pick up. But if you put a 50 paise coin, they will immediately pick up. Why? So this ownership has to be inculcated.
What are some steps that you can do to make this happen?
See, it's like this. If you trust people, you believe people, and you listen to them, that's the first thing.
Okay.
Number 2, as I was telling you the other day, every point there has to be free, fast, and firm. Think freely without any bias. If the issue is raised, take decision fast, and once you have taken decision fast, be firm.
Okay.
Don't go on wavering with the decision. Abhi ye kar diya. No.
Right. So stick to whatever you've decided.
If you do these 3 things, the workers will start believing the management, and once they start believing the management, you work with an open book that this is what I make, this is what I make money, this is how I plow back in the business. So instead of a secretive that so much money you take it out, it is not going to work. Workers also understand. They are intelligent people. They are people from amongst us.
Right.
They need respect. They need recognition, and they need that they be treated as a part of the organization.
So let's go to innovations today. What are some key innovations in the foundry industry today that you are seeing that can shape the future in the next 10 years?
The latest is use of large foam technology with vacuum.
Right.
So what you do is that with vacuum you suck off all the gases immediately.
Correct.
So that the carbon precipitation is not there.
Correct.
It's a good technology. And these are one which are, and of course the latest is the 3D printing. You can print the core, you can print the mold, you can print the casting, and create a prototype overnight.
Funny that you mentioned, we had Voxeljet India, Miss Nidisha, she was on the podcast just last week. They print I think 4 meter by 2 meter by 1 meter molds. So that is I mean, coincidentally that you
So
mentioned.
3D printing is one of the latest and is going to revolutionize the quality pattern making,
Correct.
quality casting, and quality prototype making in the shortest time.
So I think, Mr. Oudhia, you've given us a lot, and we thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Is there anything you'd like to add? In closing?
Nothing more. I wish Foundries to develop and grow more and more.
Correct.
Foundry had been in my blood. I had enjoyed, and what I am today is because of the Foundry only.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So guys, this is Mr. S.P. Oudhia for you. He has absolutely shared with you a shard of maybe a 60-year career, right? Because you're still working up to this day. So right from his engineering, how he got into college, how he got his first job, second job, third job, fourth job. And it's very important to know that during his long career, he's worked with only about 4 foundries. Whereas today in our generation of job hopping, we probably cover maybe about 4 companies in a span of 2 years. So that's something that's very commendable. He stuck to the task that was given to him. He had a roadmap that was maybe about 8-10 years at each company, where he achieved this objective and then he moved on to the next. So he didn't leave any stone unturned, and he completed his mission before going on to maybe taking up a new challenge. So I mean, the Foundry community will forever look up to Mr. S.P. Oudhia as a prominent figure.
My pleasure.
And we still do, because at every event we're really happy to have with us a senior most member of our community. So I thank Mr. S.P. Oudhia so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Especially for taking out the time and for mustering up the energy. And thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We've been planning this for almost a month now, getting over the questions, and he is a very thorough person. These are the amount of notes that he's prepared for this podcast. So I mean, don't miss any part of it. Go over it. Don't skip anything. It's pure gold here. It's basically a book that he has dictated over the course of maybe one and a half hour that we've been here. So thank you so much, and join us for the next podcast. Like and subscribe if you got value out of this, and probably we'll be, maybe if he's up for it, if he's enjoyed this first one, we will get him around for a second talk that would be very technical on some focused topics. Is that something that you'd be keen on doing?
Definitely, yes.
So we'll ask people in the comments if you have a very technical topic that you would like Mr. Oudhia to expand on. We'll get him back on the show, and we'll be here for the second time around.
Sure.
So thank you so much, and keep watching. Cheers.
Okay.